8:01 p.m. on Monday, so you know that we are here. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Richard.
Here we go. Listen, real quick, between you and me, and maybe Shanna is watching, I flirted with the idea of dubbing in House where it's not lupus at the end of that, because
Yeah, right.
for the last week, every time I aired, I didn't change it from lupus, but you know where I'm at with that. So
yeah, but again, the reason that they always made sure it wasn't lupus was because lupus is such a dangerous disease and so important that we have awareness of it. So
yeah. So we were here last week, right?
We were.
Yeah. Okay. So welcome everybody. Tonight we are going to discuss Law and Order OC, per Richard, as he's nicknamed it, not the OC, but Law and Order OC, Law and Order Organized Crime. I'm sure there's going to be many thoughts and feelings on this matter, but before we get started, you know that first it's time for News with Richard. So hang in there.
Thanks, Ryan. As always, we start the news off with a look at the box office. So I'll just read the top 5 and then say my little bit of commentary. A Quiet Place Part 2 was number 1 again with 11.7 million. In the Heights, the follow-up to Hamilton, or the I'll talk more about that in a second. In second place with 11.4. Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway. I guess Peter Rabbit does not want to live at home anymore. 10.4. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It in fourth place with 10 million, and Cruella, it's been out for a month now, but with 6.7 million. So again,
can we use the term holding strong?
Yep, Cruella is holding strong. I am hearing nothing but positive things about it. The negatives I'm hearing are from the people that are going thinking it's going to be a cute Dalmatian movie, and seeing like it's they're giving Cruella some depth. I think I've definitely talked on the show before about we never have a bad guy anymore in a movie or a TV show. The bad guy has been abused by their parents, has been, like they give us the rationalization for it. And that's what we're doing with Cruella. We're seeing the horrible things that happened to her and the rejections that led to her. So yeah, it's cool. It's a neat twist from Disney, again, which I'm saying that, but they've done Maleficent and shows like that. So it sticks with that. But with Cruella DeVille, she was just more of a comical, I'm laughing, a comical. She wanted to skin puppies and wear them. That's what her thing was. So now that I think about it, maybe she wasn't the, but the big news in the box office this week was after last summer's success of Hamilton on Disney Plus, where we were all home and we all watched it because we were home and we watched it 20 times. In the Heights, we thought was going to be just a massive box office success. And again, it was fine, but it is available on HBO Max. So I think maybe we're seeing this one. This is the first one when everything's open that, and again, I wasn't going to the theater. I was going to watch it on HBO Max. So I'm guilty. I watch Hamilton a million times. In the Heights, I'm super excited for, but I did not. Actually, I didn't either. The weekend got away from me, and I didn't either. So that's what we're dealing with here. I think it's going to be a minute. I think June 25th, and I'll be talking. I'll let this segue into my next story. June 25th is the release of Fast and Furious 9, and so I don't have to say it. I think all summer when we talk about movies, the movie was supposed to be out last year, so there's most of the movies were supposed to be out last year. So Fast and Furious 9 is coming out, and that will be but again, I think that's an HBO Max deal too. I'm pretty sure it is.
I can't confirm. I think you might be right. But the one thing I was going to say, and I'm a sucker for these, so I don't know how it's going to work out for me. I'm a sucker for the extended trailer dedicated to one film thing. So
Okay.
I like I said, I people know I have my issues with Jurassic World and Dominion, or I'm sorry, Fallen Kingdom, but it's just still the 5-year-old in me is like, I have to see that extended trailer. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet.
So yeah, so we'll see. And again, and that's also going to be neat when they start to have those little, oh, this is where you're. And again, I know they'll get to us with, I'm sure with Black Widow, we're going to hear that something's in the front of Black Widow in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So that's how they'll trick us into going back, or we'll say it'll be on YouTube in a day. So, but in Fast and Furious news, Vin Diesel revealed this week that the franchise, in its current format, will end after. And this just seems funny to say. It will end after movies 10 and 11. It is real. I mean, we will do a Fast and Furious show
100%.
because what started out as just I really enjoyed that first movie, but it was cookie cutter undercover cop gets into the world of street racing,
fast cars, big muscles,
and then again they turn their sorry, I was going to say not the knocks. They turned the knocks up. They had a couple silly beat a train across a racetrack scene, train track scenes, and we fully expect that before 10 or 11 is over, they will be in space. They will have jumped that plane into space with a rocket ship, or they will steal the space shuttle because I cannot remember that lovely South African lady's name.
No.
So
it's horrible because she's awesome.
Yeah, right. She's awesome. So yeah, I can see her taking over the International Space Station and
Charlize Theron. Sorry.
Charlize Theron, yeah. Charlize Theron will be taking over the space station. We'll be like, yeah, this is the only crew we know. So
somebody will come back from the past that died in 4 or 5 or 6 or something.
It sucks that poor Paul Walker is, he just cannot come back. And again, will I put the franchise to CGI him in? I don't know, but again, while the fans of Fast and Furious might be a little sad that it'll be coming to an end at 11. They still have all the plans for all the spinoffs. The success of Hobbs and Shaw. They want to have a female-led movie, and again, also I could see taking a beat, take a couple years, and then they'll just, it'll be Dom's kid. Dom's kid will be now 18 and getting his first car, and and that kind of stuff. So
my dad left me this car in the garage.
Right.
Start all over again.
And that's what will happen. And I haven't seen my dad died mysteriously, and then. Yeah, Vin Diesel will come back for that $30 million paycheck. So, in our sad news portion, Ned Beatty passed away yesterday at 83 years old of natural causes. You may know him best for his award-nominating work in Deliverance and Network. I knew him best as Otis Berg in the Superman, the original Christopher Reeve Supermans, where he was Lex Luthor's henchman. So for me growing up, that's who Ned Beatty was. And I know the people around me were like, oh, he's in Network, he's in Deliver. I was just like, no, dude, he's the funny little goofy guy from Superman. And this is something in doing the research I didn't realize he played Lotso Bear in Toy Story 3 and actually was nominated for a couple MTV type awards or villain of the year for playing Lotso Bear. I don't know why I thought that. Yeah, so that was kind of a cool little thing he was able to do.
I thought it was John Goodman for some reason.
So did I. I would have told you for $1 million that it was John Goodman. Yeah. So, So, by the way, I love that this is a Wikipedia prank on me. So not much in the news for me to speak about because when Ryan, I usually get most of my news stories from Ryan sharing what's happening in the pop culture world, and you shared a lot of video game stuff this week. And this weekend.
I actually was, and it didn't stop because normally there's a lot to say about movies and stuff like that. It's like Gamers Week. Perhaps E3 came up and I missed it or something, but they are talking a lot about Halo, talking about a lot about the multiplayer, talking about, and even if you saw Netflix is taking on Dynasty Warriors, Resident Evil, picking up all these video game things. It's like Video Gamer Week, but that a big thing with the video game world, and I'm sure you've seen it, is that it's all planned. Netflix announces the video games and the video game systems, and it's very coordinated, and everybody gets all amped up. So Big video game week. And, Richard and I have talked about this before on our first episode on Teenagers, Toddlers, and Twins. And I'll just say it here again. And don't sleep on the video game industry. And Richard and I have spoken to this. Don't sleep on the video game industry. If you can make a career out of playing video games these days, don't sleep on the video game industry. Multi-billion-dollar industry. It's crazy.
No, it really is. And where school has changed, where we have programming lessons, what used to just be keyboarding, or when I was in school, we would just type in, a couple like symbols to make like a little like smiley face, which now I just crack up. I would do an afternoon, a Saturday afternoon class at the county college to learn like C plus programming or whatever it was, so that I could type in a bunch of different things for like an hour, and then it would make like a stick figure walk across the screen, and now kids can just make entire video games in their basement with not even like anything more impressive than a Chromebook, and it's this phenomenal stuff that, I'm excited about. And like I said in that first podcast we did, just remember kind of laughing to myself when Zach was like, "Oh, I want to play video games for a living." I wish I had been smart enough at the time to be like, "Yeah, dude." And, and now again, he has fun. He's on Twitch. I think he makes a couple bucks a week, streaming on Twitch and stuff. But the fact that there are people who make millions of dollars playing video games, I can't remember that dude who got busted for cheating at Fortnite. Shanna, are you out there? She's not. I thought she was out there. Maybe she's listening. What was the name of that guy who got caught cheating at Fortnite, Shanna? If you're listening, I know there's like a 20-second delay from when they actually hear this. So video games. It's looks like there's a lot of cool stuff happening, and it will be interesting to see as we open up this summer how, again, because I know that was one of the things they were saying about the box office numbers this week. Like, people could finally go to the beach without that stress, or have family parties, or do things. So I think we're going to see this interesting trend this summer of the movies numbers not being that great, or different things. But I'm curious how video games and the stay-at-home stuff will rebound and bounce back.
Yeah.
So.
And it's funny you say that, because I've said this multiple times to you in person. Shanna said question marks. You can't remember. I said this multiple times in person on the podcast last summer, pre-COVID. Like, the second I saw the Maverick trailer, I was like, I can't wait until summer 2020. Total summer movie, right? Tom Cruise, fighter jets. We're getting back into the cockpit after all these years. Now, like you just said, we're going to see a slip, or we expect to see a slip this summer. Top Gun Maverick's going to be a Thanksgiving movie. So still always a big release week, as you know, right up there with Christmas and stuff. But I was just really waiting for that to be a summertime movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really was. It was the perfect. I mean, it really is. And again, I would love to, when Top Gun comes out, like, explore that, because Tom Gunn is the character's name. But Tom Cruise, who does his own stunts and who always insists on authenticity. Right. Like, it's not going to be a CGI battle. They're up there in those planes. I will be really curious to see what that looks like. The 2020, I guess it's a 2019 version of it, but that we're finally seeing 2 years later. I look forward to it. It sounds like they have a decent plot. It's not just, like, again, the woman I work with in the library, Kay, is ex-Air Force, and I know these are Navy pilots, but like, it's a push, just like, and she had said he's supposed to be in his 50s in the movie.
Yeah.
It's a push if he would still be anything more than instructor. So it'll be curious to see. Yeah.
Let's watch this real quick. I found this today. I don't know if you got to see it. The beauty of Restream, ladies and gentlemen. I thought this was killer. Here we go. Hold on. Oh, I'm trying here.
We're learning.
You might have to do it like this, but
I'll just say, "Hey, Maverick, you're on my tail."
Here we go. Okay.
That's better than what I'm gonna do.
After 34 years, Tom Cruise returns as Maverick. This is a competition film about family, friendship, and sacrifice. It's a love letter to aviation. We're going to show you what it's really like to be a Top Gun pilot.
You just can't create this kind of experience unless you shoot it live. In order for us to accomplish this, we have the greatest fighter pilots in the world working with us.
We're working with a brand new camera system that allows us to put 6 IMAX quality cameras inside the cockpit with the actors.
Verify cameras are on. Check cameras on. There you go.
It's amazing what we see in the cockpit and what an audience is going to experience.
Just a little higher. That's perfect. Great camera position.
Thanks to Tom, all the actors are becoming accustomed to the G-forces by all the training that they're doing.
It is aggressive. You can't act that. The distortion in the face. They're pulling 7.5 HGs. That's 1,600 pounds of force. I am so proud of them and what they've done. And it is heavy duty.
All right. I'm okay.
Putting us up in these jets, it's very serious. That's why everybody thought it would be impossible. And I think when Tom hears that something's impossible or it can't be done, that's when he gets to work.
It'll work out. That's what I'm talking about.
Flying one of these fighter jets is an absolute thrill ride. We want to make sure that the audience has the same experience.
3, 2, 1.
Aviation film like this has never been done, and chances are will never be done again.
Exhilarating, right?
And again, it's another movie that take away that score. It's still good, like
I know exactly what you mean.
that the chicken. And I just looked it up. I don't recognize the composers' names, but you could put that again. It's not going to beat Star Wars and Superman and that kind of stuff, but it's right there. That is, you just hear a few notes and and yeah, that gives you the goosebumps when the plane's flying. So. Looking forward to that, and
yeah, definitely
seeing what kind of plot we have in 2021 for this kind of stuff. Because, and again, I'm sure it'll be part of the show. Like drones have replaced a lot of these things we do, so that's cool. My last, I wanted to do like a Pride news piece, and instead Ryan inspired me to stand on my soapbox for Pride for the last for my news piece. Because again, there's so much quality stuff out there, and my soapbox is basically educate yourselves, watch a documentary, learn. Ryan and I were a minute late getting on here because we were talking a little bit about some of the things. And the one thing I will say on my soapbox, I don't know if this is a soapbox or this is me throwing bars of soap at you, but remember when you we're having a I don't want to call it. I don't know the words to say because it's not a revolution, but there is a change. Younger people are feeling more comfortable in their skin. Younger people are identifying, and we're seeing, people, younger and younger people kind of saying, hey, I'm identifying as gay. I'm identifying as asexual. Just remember, take a deep breath before you say the words, oh, they're so young. How do they even know? Because, as we stand with our stones in front of our glass houses, how many of us, look at a little boy or a little girl, and we look at a little boy and we say, "You're a heartbreaker. You're going to steal all the girls." We do that. And again, why do we know that Ryan's sons are straight right now? Because they're cutie patootie. Again, but we say it, and again, we say it because we've always say it. And I'm not telling you to stop saying it. I'm not telling you if you see Axe out there and you're like, oh, Axe, you're a lady killer. I'm not telling you to stop saying that. I'm just saying, remember, don't turn around at a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old and say, how do you know? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense to fans of the soapbox, segment. I get a lot of responses, even though this is the first week and I've never done it before. I know that I've gotten a lot of feedback for it in my mind. And it doesn't give me. Oh my goodness! I can ready. And we saw a great representation of a black gay couple in a TV show I watched called Law and Order: Organized Crime.
Oh, that is amazing!
I feel like I almost couldn't do it, and then I remembered. Oh, right. The main. I apologize. I do this all the time. I forget her rank. Sergeant Ayanna Bell. Okay, Sergeant Ayanna Bell.
Yes.
Organized crime. All right. Let's talk about it.
So let's talk about,
I was going to say, do you have the theme song? The theme song is just a little different.
and it's funny. It's still, in regards to theme song, Monica and I don't, perhaps you and Shannon are the same, but we enjoy the melodies, if you will. So we still, dun, 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 I couldn't help myself. I'm still like, yeah, let's go.
It was just a little different. So, boss, I know I'll let you take the lead here. And
all right. So I actually kind of had a feeling that Richard would have me take the lead here, which is perfectly fine. So what I wanted to say before I gave my opinion was, I think Richard and I said this when we say this all the time, whether it's movies, comics, music, whatever the case may be. And it's perfectly fine because, like Richard and I just said, in regards to the topic that we ended the news with, into anything, you're allowed to think what you want to think. It's beautiful, right? Nobody can tell you how to think, how to feel. I had a feeling, though, that there was going to be very mixed reviews on organized crime because people are in love with SVU. I think SVU probably also more than the original Law and Order. I think the SVU is the one that was able to blend between multiple generations, if that makes sense. So, excuse me, my sister commented when I made the post the other day. She said that she did not enjoy organized crime. She thought that it was missing the emotional connection part and I was thinking about it, and I could see where she's coming from. Mariska as Benson is great at sympathizing with the victims, at making it feel real, making it feel human. I don't think it's fair to say that was missed with organized crime before I go too far, because I think that Christopher Maloney as Elliot Stabler was able to show another side of Stabler. And I've said this before, I think we know he's lead man material. There was a small movie, I can't remember the name of it. It was on Netflix. He was a detective investigating bank robberies. And, some people don't think about these things. I'm sure perhaps you do. I do as well. Bruce Willis was in it. I felt like Christopher Maloney casted a shadow over Bruce Willis. I think he's just that good as an actor. He's alpha male status, great actor. So I thought that he did a great job of playing a cop whose wife just died. And I think that he's known for being a loose cannon in the past, but he did a very good job of being a cop who had to stay within the lines because it is a different time. I think the series did a great job of showing where we are as far as policing and systemic racism and everything that's going on in the world. We can't say the same about The Mask because that was touch and go with the show, but that's how I'm going to start off my piece about it. What do you think?
Yeah, no, in writing our notes up for the show, yeah, they did that. He couldn't come back. Again, that's what made him popular back in 1999, 2000 is you were stressed the entire time you watched SVU. You were just waiting for when he crossed the line, when he put his fist through somebody, and, they flirted with that a little bit here, but, again, had him admit, yeah, I can't do that. I can't be like that. And then they really wove in last summer's protests and racism decently, again, without being heavy-handed was my thought, like there's a, again, and Shanna like gasped and I don't know if it's just she's older now and she gasps more, but Ayanna Bell's nephew, Sergeant Bell's nephew, again, we don't even know it. I don't think we know it's him at the time. We just see there's protests happening, and this African-American kid goes into... At first, it's so funny how stereotypes and stuff are in your head. He has a guitar, and it's like a really good, expensive guitar, and I think he's in a pawn shop. I really do. I'm not even thinking about it. I'm thinking he's in a pawn shop, and he's actually just at a repair place, and he's an excellent. He's a guitar player who's going to go and do this for a career and go to school for it. And when he comes out of the guitar place, he bumps. I think either he's there, he gets bumped into by some protesters running from the cops. The cops catch up. Think he's part of the protesters because of the color of his skin, and instead of talking to him or asking him questions, immediately slam him to the ground and step on his hand, crushing his hand. And that's what Shannon just let out a gasp.
That was tough for me too. I got to.
That was a tough scene.
Yeah.
And then, but they, and then the family is going to bring a lawsuit against the police. And now, of course, now Sergeant Bell is kind of in the middle of this, and it was an interesting stuff where they made sure that Maloney talked about it, and they have a dramatic scene towards the end. It's funny because we will talk about this in a second. They did some interesting things where they put what you thought the last episode was going to be like in the second to last episode. I thought, at least, like, when in terms of catching the bad guys, and so they have their SWAT team, which was, again, now the SWAT team was seen very cold towards Sergeant Bell because of this. So it was interesting to see about that thin blue line and those codes that they have, and but again, I crack up to kind of take a sidestep politically for a second. White police officer. I know I'm talking to an actor playing a white police officer, but white police officer, don't pretend for a second that if your nephew or your son was mistakenly, was hurt and their hand was crushed, that you would not be leading the cause for the lawsuit, but
100%.
Yeah, 100%. But again, it's I always call against hypocrisy. But to not go on about it too long, they didn't make it the focal point of the show. They made it like an underlying thing to add some tension to their case. So let's talk about the case. Oh my goodness. Stabler comes back into town because Olivia Benson's getting some sort of award. He has been in Italy for the last 4 or 5 years. And when he gets back into town, I forget exactly why he's out of the car, but his wife's in the car and his wife's car blows up. And, by the way, spoilers. His wife's car.
If we didn't tell you already, spoilers.
Yeah. His wife's car blows up. She eventually passes away from the injuries, and now he's angry. But the SVU unit is not going to be able to help him with this. He needs a new special unit. And that's when he gets put on the organized crime unit, which has Sergeant Bell as the leader. It's funny. It has Jet Slutzmakers as a hacker who joins the team because he's recruited by Stabler. I thought she was going to do more. I mean, she did a decent amount. And then Ben Chase, Detective First Grade Freddy Washburn, and Detective Second Grade Diego Moore. Right, you can tell I'm reading this. But so it's a tight crew. I think they throw in the Freddy character a little later because I think you want the whole time you thought there was a mole in the organization, and I think they made it seem like it was the new guy.
Has to be, right?
Has to be the new guy. Like, it seems can't be the hacker, and it's not Benson. No. And their job is to figure out who has, and again, they think all signs point to it being the Sinatra family. But very quickly, head of the Sinatra family, played by the great actor from, I love that this is going to be a hallmark of my podcast career, that I don't remember people's names when I need to. Led by that great actor from Bronx Tale, from Tons of Show. We saw him live on Broadway. Of course, we all know him, and we all say his name is Chaz Palminteri. And
there you go.
So again, I was actually excited because I'm like, Chaz Palminteri, and he's playing a straight up racist Italian, like he is
old
from the old
racist
school,
Italian,
And the little surprise we get at the end is his son is Dermot Mulrooney, not Dylan McDermott. I know that is an old school mistake people made, but it is Dylan. It is Dylan McDermott. I got it wrong. Dylan McDermott plays Richard Wheatley, son of Manfredi Sinatra. And he doesn't go by Richard Sinatra anymore because he was embarrassed of his father. He's mainly embarrassed of his father's racism. Because spoilers, Richard Wheatley has no problem with organized crime.
Problem.
But he has married two. He has married two. Yeah. He has married two black women and had children with them, and so that's the main part he doesn't like. And he kills Manfredi Sinatra, and we're like, all right, what is happening here? So we are heading into the show, which is basically we are going to stop Richard Wheatley and his crimes, and it's the Wheatley family. So it's interesting to kind of have this very white collar crime family. They don't do things like the old school people do. So it's Benson who is now dealing with the death of his wife. So we're seeing a lot of punching walls, crying in the shower. None of that is said with humor. Like, it's probably in a sane world. He has to take 6 weeks off. Like he's not allowed back on the force. But he's also has his family, and this is something they did less with his family than I thought.
Yeah, it started off strong, and you felt like they were going to be right by their dad's side. And it's not that they weren't, right? But you thought that they were going to be more present in this series, especially since I think we discussed this and clarified they brought back the original cast and stuff like that. But one thing I want to say while we're talking about the family, when they reached out to Olivia and Olivia came over to the house and Stabler walks in and it's some sort of an intervention. It was at that very moment where I realized that they did, in my opinion, they did an excellent job of seamlessly putting the two worlds together, right? We didn't let Mariska overshadow it. She came back as the partner, probably the love interest. We are getting season 2. We will see. We see Wheatley nod to her at the end, remember? So I was expecting her to get kidnapped. That's not a spoiler. I thought that was going to happen because they brought her up. But, and sometimes I guess the point I'm trying to make is that they did a good job of bringing everything together, giving the fans what we want to see, building some sort of a plot, right? Stabler showed up in SVU, like I think one time, right?
Yeah.
But they gave the people, they gave the fans the acknowledgement. We got just enough of Mariska and Benson, but it was still like, this is a different series. Stabler is in a different place in his life, so not too much, not too little. In my opinion, like the perfect dash of both worlds.
And again, I was gonna say the one time we missed that he was on SVU for like 4 or 5 episodes in, he was on because like they're talking about this case and they're like, oh, he was on SVU for a little bit. Again, and for anyone overhearing us, how are you? Good to hear you. Good that you're overhearing us. But if you're looking for, I love them for those first 12 seasons of SVU, they don't do an Ice-T reunion. I mean, they don't give us a lot of. And again, I guess in fairness to them, other than Mariska and Ice-T, everyone he would have known is long gone from the show. So I guess I guess they didn't have to do a big he shows up and how you doing, bud. But they make the show about family, but it turned out to be more about the criminal's family. When you were talking about the people's opinion, it is really 50-50. Rotten Tomatoes literally 50%. Most of the ratings you see are, a 2.5, 3, because again, it was not I can put it on and not pay attention in the background. You had to kind of figure out what's happening. They had an undercover cop storyline. They had, the little brother storyline, the son was his son, Richie, going to be a gangster. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, let me ask you, I don't know if you actually said it, but before we go any further, what was your final opinion on the series? Good, bad, indifferent, waiting for season 2?
I'm waiting for season 2 because they did a good job with with the ending of like, they just ended. Like, it was not like, it wasn't a cliffhanger. It wasn't a gun to someone's head. It was just like, it was a stressful time. And it ends with like, you need to pick up the next season from that moment, or at least flash back to what was happening. So it was a solid cliffhanger in that, but I guess 7 out of 10.
Okay. All right.
They did well. When we kind of the reveal of who was responsible for his wife's death, and then how he handled that afterwards. I don't know if it just didn't fit for me because if
Okay.
but again, the person who was responsible for his wife's death could help put away the whole family. So I guess that's why it just feels like you have anger. Sorry, you have anger problems. I know I have anger problems. I know most of our listeners have anger problems. And while you're 100% better than you were 10 years ago, and I'm 100% better than 10 years ago, finding out who killed my wife might lead to me punching a hole through that wall.
Yeah, I don't know how I would react.
Right. So yeah, exactly. So that's one where I kind of thought they maybe could have given us a scene of, which again they gave us that scene when he was dealing with his wife's death, but from his wife's death to when the series ends, I don't know if it's been months. Like it might just literally be like 2 months, 3 months at the most. So, at the most, it could even be like 6 weeks. It's not a lot. So yeah, but they focus more on that crime family, and I found that really interesting. Which I also found the crime interesting, and in a positive way. Like they were trying to steal vaccines. They were trying to do they realized that that's what that's what they did. They didn't need to sell drugs. They needed to sell vaccines and sell vaccines to foreign countries that were going to pay for them. So
and it's like, did they have? And we don't know. It's like, hey guys, was that the plot of organized crime? Was it originally going to be cocaine, but then COVID happened and you saw an opportunity? Like,
right?
Because as we know, it's like these shows, any movie, it's like it's not overnight. You have to find the cast, make sure their schedule lines up, put a story together. So, but as we know, big time COVID stuff. And like it could have been. What's the one that the James Bond villains always steal? Uranium.
Yeah,
could have
sure,
been something
right.
else, but then they were like, let's do the COVID vaccine. We got time. We can fit it in.
This makes more sense. Yeah, maybe it was just because again, it always felt like they were going to be moving cocaine and pot. Like it always felt like it was going to be higher end stuff because that's the whole deal that this Richard Wheatley is going for is, they're on the internet. They're, it's 2021. They're not selling drugs on the corner. Like, they've got the dark web and again, he's got his brilliant daughter involved with him. So it's an interesting and I thought well acted by everyone involved.
I thought everybody did a great job. I was actually surprised at Dylan McDermott being there was maybe a few parts where I was like, all right, Dylan, that's a little cringy, but otherwise I thought he did great. Random thought, seeing him in that dark mode with his button down, undone halfway. Random thought, I thought maybe Dylan could have been a Bruce Wayne back in the day if people capitalized on that. I thought he had the look. I was like, random thought here.
The cool thing with it is that I just 100% when I saw his name in the credits on that first night. Oh, he must be the new ADA, or he's the that's it. Dylan McDermott's the ADA, and again, because a staple of Law and Order is the villains aren't the bad guys are not part of the regular cast. So again, I think this is when if we had people who would be telling us why they didn't like the show that much, and again, it was a little. I'm sorry, this sounds so dumb to say. It was a little like dark, or like kind of like slow and sad, where every episode of SVU is dark and sad, but it moves on that. We've got to solve the crime pace this episode. And so that might have been, I think, something that maybe kind of I could see not appealing to people that like, yeah. And again, you don't have to watch SVU. You needed to watch all of these in a row to make sense. But I'm 100% looking forward to season 2. So,
yeah. What was I going to say? Dylan McDermott, the cast. That was one thing that really stuck out to me, and I thought it was really cool. It felt like a movie, like the camera angles, the music, the dark settings, if you will, the cinematography, whatever. I personally, and I say this all the time to Monica, and I'm really not trying to be a complainer, I liked the first 12 or whatever seasons of SVU when it was, everybody kind of looks run down. Their sleeves are rolled up. They're in the, what do they call it? In the bullpen, they're picking up phones. Everybody's hustling and bustling. I do feel like SVU has kind of cheapened the look, if that makes sense. And it does stand out to me. And I feel I'm kind of like, oh man, I kind of just, would rather watch the old school SVU. But this one, it kind of felt like a movie, right? They put a little more time and energy into it.
It did. I was going to say, yeah, like if we had a camera expert on the show with us here, there's two reasons that old SVUs, like, they look darker. And I'm sure some of that is the camera. And I'm sure some of that is on purpose. Whereas,
Right.
like, yeah, you put on a new SVU, everything's well lit.
Yep.
And that's what you're saying. So then everyone looks good. And again, they've also changed where it was always Mariska, even the old Law and Orders, like, the lawyer was always this attractive woman, and then it was just a bunch of, like, munches and iced teas and and Krager, like, nobody was like models. Even Maloney himself, while he's a good looking man, is not Brad Pitt good looking.
Right.
Whereas you flip on a new episode of SVU, everyone is attractive. Like, the two female cops, and Mariska are attractive. The ADA, everyone has just got good look. So
The ADA is like the first one I feel that ever had like a thick New York accent.
Yeah,
right. He sounds like he grew up in Brooklyn or the Bronx. And like you said, fast talking, good looking, got the slim suits on, smart, witty, whatever. So yeah, I totally get what you're saying.
Where that used to be like a staple of, like, they were always going to have a beautiful lawyer, but even then they were shot to look more normal than glamorous. And I was going to put in my plug for Angie Harmon. Angie Harmon, though, could do what she could do, but she was old Law and Order. So yeah, so again, I think that's where, this looked like a movie. This looked like it was shot as a movie, and again, our camera experts could tell us it was shot in a different frame rate or film. But again, it felt, because I knew it was only going to be so many episodes. I felt I will go back and forth. Mayor of Easttown was perfect because it was 7 episodes. But could Law and Order OC have had another 2? But again, maybe listen, I always say these kind of things, and like, oh, I wonder what happened. Maybe they were doing, oh, this is a success, so we're gonna have a season 2. If it, by the way, I'm going to tell you the ratings right now. First episode, 7.5 million viewers. The next ones are all around 4.5 million viewers.
Really, it dropped off like that, huh?
It dropped off like that. Yeah, they. Sorry. So it's kind of interesting, and I did not do a comparison to see what SVU was pulling in, but that first episode, which was a direct Law and Order SVU movie with it, but again, it's 5% of the share of that watching TVs that night. Like, it's not a huge number of people. Again, how often do you watch it Thursday at 9? At 9 at 10 o'clock? Like, I don't. I'm watching it.
Can you see that?
I can.
4.2. First thing when you type in organized crime reviews.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry. That's
4.2. Yeah,
that's 4.2 out of 5. Out of 10,000. I'm sorry, out of 1,000 ratings. But this is just Google. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, look, you're right on the money. You should get a job for Rotten Tomatoes. 7.7 IMDb. I'm sorry, 50% Rotten Tomatoes, 7.7 IMDb. So, I'm just going to touch on it again real quick, because I do. My sister and we both used to watch SVU. Like, remember, there was a time where SVU was, like, really on fire. Not that it's not now, but really on fire. And we watched it. And I get it. Like, people don't always like change, and I'm not saying that's my sister's reasons or anybody else's reasoning, but maybe people, and I wish we had somebody here, like Shanna or somebody who could, speak to being an SVU fan. Maybe they like that let's, like you said, let's get down to the point. We find out who it is, what's going on, or I don't know. Like, I just don't know. I don't know. It did feel like its own show, but I still felt like it was in the Law and Order universe, if you will. And I didn't really
Yeah.
feel like I needed to compare it to the other 2 or 3. No disrespect to Criminal Intent. The other 3.
Yeah, though I just thought this thought for the first time. If you had Christopher Maloney playing, Sergeant Joe Smith, the story still works. Everything about it works because again, like having Liv appear in like half the episodes but for a minute, not for very long, but for a minute here or there, that connected us. But overall, it did its own thing. It did not. But again, that's what Criminal Intent did. Criminal Intent rarely, if ever, acknowledged, that there was this other Law and Order universe.
I think Sam was on SVU like once, maybe twice. Like they crossed over like that. But yeah, so yeah, that's where I'm at. I think it's no, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie just because we're on screen. Me personally, I thought that it was a great series, and I think part of my reasoning, because I was thinking about this yesterday during my own little prep time, if you will, is that for a little bit in my life, I wanted to be a cop. I feel like Stabler was a big part of that. He's strong, he's smart, he's not half intimidating. He's intimidating, but he's also he's also caring, and it was just cool to see Stabler having his own show. You know what I mean? Like, it was cool seeing that person, your favorite character, gets to stand on their own 2 feet and have their own story, and I thought it was really cool. That's just where I'm at with it.
Yeah. Shanna was going to try to call in. I don't know. She might surprise us and call in, but yeah, she just texted me to say that. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry. Shanna, you know what, Shanna? I'm going to wait to share your thoughts. Because we were 20 seconds behind or ahead rather. Shanna, when you hear me say this, if you're going to call in, I won't just share your thoughts because she just shared some really good thoughts. So let's see. If
come on, Shanna, bring it on.
All right, but so real quick while we're waiting to see if Shanna is going to call in or not.
Yeah.
So I was the undercover cop storyline, which just screamed from the beginning, oh, this is not undercover cop.
Never
but again,
well.
but was pretty interesting and really I would love to like the undercover cop life, which is just crazy. What else? The brothers, the love story. I don't want to say came out of left field. So when I don't know why I keep wanting to call him Maloney. When Stabler starts investigating the Wheatley family, his Richard Wheatley's ex-wife had a son who died as part of organized crime. Sorry. Anyway, well, however they had to make this contrived way, they put Maloney, Stabler, and I'm forgetting her first name right now. Where you at? Names? Oh, there it is. Angela. I don't know why I couldn't remember. Angela Wheatley, who was played by Tamara Taylor, who you would probably know best from Bones.
That's where I freaking
I was gonna say. From. That's where I was like, I know her so well. And Shanna said she cannot call her phone will not connect. All right, so I'll finish Shanna's thoughts after I finish this. So again, they made this connection because Angela Wheatley was dealing with the grief of her son dying within the last year. Stabler is dealing with the grief of his wife dying, but there were sparks and this connection and but it felt weird because like he's not going to sleep with her. It's been weeks or a month since his wife died, and but again, it was interesting because and it leads to a really cool moment, which again, like I say, enough spoilers. These are a really cool moment, I think, in the end when the main bad guy, Richard Wheatley's like, I know who I know who you like, I know who you've been crushing on. That's not quite how he said it, but I work with sixth graders all day, so give me a break. And you're just like, oh my God, he knows he's going to like bust him for hanging out with his ex-wife. And we realize he means Benson. He means Olivia Benson. So, which adds a little kind of stress to, is Olivia now a target for this major mobster? But again, it was.
No, I was just gonna say that would have been like a perfect season 1 cliffhanger. But I don't know where they're at with SVU. I don't know how they lined that up. Like that was, like it's like, well, we can't kidnap her because she's on SVU next week. I don't know, and I think that they tried to line the two up in general. If you noticed a few times, so but I guess you can't kidnap her if you need her to be on the premiere of SVU.
Yeah, right now you can't. Right, you can't quite do that. No, I mean though I feel like they've had a season where she was kidnapped and she started the season kidnapped. All right, so Shanna, she'd like to ask for you is more standalone episodes. So I guess I don't know if she's asking me to provide more standalone episodes of and I think right, you had to watch the episodes, and that's been a big knock on, like the This Is Us, 24, Lost, some of these shows that are serials. You have to watch each episode. You don't want to miss an episode. They don't get great reruns. So yeah, she wanted some more, and she didn't like the movie aspect. It didn't feel Law and Order-ish. And that's the thing. I think if I had said, "Oh, let's check out Christopher Maloney's doing this new movie as Officer Frank Smith," TV show, like I think it would have. I mean, again, it did fine. It's getting a second season. And again, Shanna, it's funny. I was just about to say this, and Shanna brought it up. Like nobody talks about old school Law and Order, like the original Law and Order. And she literally went. Maybe I should pretend I'm Shanna. I literally went to college as a criminal justice major because of the show. Like Shanna is has her minor in criminal justice because, Law and Order, the original Law and Order, inspired her. And again, it's on. I think it's on one network like Sundance or We or something. And I started recording some of the episodes. The show's never like this thing. Even though some people don't like Criminal Intent, there's never a bad episode of Law and Order. It's always good.
I love Criminal Intent. Is Law and Order? I'm checking. This is awful. Is Law and Order still on?
It's still on. I think on my cable station, the We network,
but not new.
But not new. Yeah, Law and Order. There's no new Law and Order. But again, just since 1989 to 2021, older than you. Older. Like they have always had a Law and Order episode on. And again, we did a whole SVU podcast, and we're talking about it because, listen, I keep bringing up this. Christopher Maloney plays Officer Frank something. He played a police officer in the show you're talking about. He played a police officer or detective in a sci-fi show called Happy, where he had like an imaginary sidekick. Like none of those shows had the success. Like the way you're. Yeah.
What is Chris busy? Maloney. Yeah, okay, let's get him.
Yeah. You can do this, buddy. Yeah. But again, listen, we would not be doing a podcast about Christopher Maloney's new cop show right now if it wasn't called Law and Order. So, so Law and Order, we're going to get Law and Order Criminal Organized Crime.
OC.
Yep. Law and Order OC is going to have a second season. If we haven't spoiled it too much for you guys, check it out. Watch it. I'm sure it's streaming on Peacock and you can watch everything. Again, it's, I think 8 episodes. It'll be over like that. It's really quick.
Worth the watch if you like Law and Order. Worth the watch.
And I'm wondering if binging it over like 2 or 3 days gets it, a lot of the kind of like lag of like, will play out. But overall, good show. I recommend it. Again, I would recommend if you haven't watched Mayor of Easttown, watch that first. If you're not watching Loki, if you're not watching Loki,
ladies and gents,
watch Loki first. So,
and just as we're giving final thoughts, Loki, Mayor of Easttown, Law and Order Organized Crime. Richard, because I know I've heard you say it a few times. Big question for you: is Appointment TV back after years of binging?
Not quite. So, because I binge Mayor of Easttown, I appointment Loki, but like next Wednesday when Loki comes out, like, Shanna always works late on Wednesdays, which kind of stinks. So it's like, but again, it's 6 weeks, and then we have to wait for the next thing. But again, when Mandalorian comes out or Obi-Wan comes out, it's kind of back. It's not full back because there are people who will not watch Loki so they can watch all 6 episods. And that's
the internet, people.
Right. Yeah, and that's the problem. I like knowing that Shanna's not available on Wednesdays till like almost 8 o'clock, so I'm just sitting around and was like, oh my god, I can't be on Twitter. I can't be on Facebook. even like my my app that tells me which comic books are hot. Like, if I got a notification, I just swiped it away because like it's like, oh, because that they're gonna be like, oh, this person appeared in the episode. So, but listen, if you haven't watched Loki yet, watch it. There is not a ton that happens, and most of it's just Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston sitting down talking. And that's where you see that they're both strong actors. Really cool to see Owen Wilson, chilling as this character. And with his, again, what a cool dude who never changed his nose. Like, he just got that busted nose and he's just chilling. So very, very cool stuff. And yeah,
I'll say it here. I'll say it right here on this podcast. It'll be cemented in time. And I said this to my dad when we were at the beach the other day. I don't understand the Owen Wilson hate. Never did. Never will.
I'm in a weird place right now. Where I am, and it's funny because I probably made fun of pretentious people. I make fun of pretentious people still. But I'm in a weird place where I struggle, and I don't think and Ryan, you and I are being too soft with this. I struggle with hate for most people.
Yeah, of course.
Like and that kind of thing. Like, again, like I hear something that the Kardashians do or Kanye, and I take a deep breath and I'm just like, I want to, and it's funny, I just want to know the whole story. But and sometimes when it comes to the Kardashians or some of our new like YouTube type celebrities, when I get the whole story, I'm not a fan of it. But and stop me because I'll go on for 20 minutes. It's the problem with all of this is, when we talk about appointment television and then we went to the water cooler or the playground and talked about, what we watched, like, we don't do that anymore because people just get on their phone and they put it out there, and and again, like it's just, again, like, it probably should be a whole topic we do, or a topic we do with a crossover with your other co-hosts of like, why is social media so toxic? Why can I know that on Facebook right now, I put up a thought, that someone will comment on it, and again, not just like, hey, cool. Like, it might be a ball buster. It might be disagreeing with me, and I look at most comments, most of the times when I look at other people's posts, if I have nothing to say, I don't say anything.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm so curious about, and again, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying I haven't made comments on people's posts and stuff like that, but it's that thing, like, something again, fingers crossed to say, I hope I'm doing this, is I've stopped making the ball busting comments or like the jokey comments, because what I've discovered is, you have a post, you're putting you guys out on the beach, and if I say, hey dude, watch out for a crab, even maybe it's an inside joke between us, or maybe I'm just being an idiot, like, your mom's reading that, mom's reading that, grandmoms are reading that, aunts are reading that, like, somebody's gonna be like, what the heck does that mean? Or, hey, leave my, again, that's more, I'll be a better example. Like, if I tease about Axe's hair or something, somebody's going to read that and be like, yo,
what I think about, not often, but I remember after I posted it and everybody commented, I was like, this was an unexpected social experiment. So you might remember a couple months ago where I posted that Jade was flipping the toilet paper roll.
Okay.
People that I haven't talked to in years commented that Jade was doing it the right way. And even though they could see that 50 other people commented that Jade was saying it the right way, and respect to everybody who's listening, I still love you, they just had to say that Jade did it the right way and give their 2 cents. And I was like, this is over a freaking roll of toilet paper. You know what I mean?
I think how people put their toilet paper might be the most controversial thing we've ever talked about on this show. Trans rights, Black Lives Matter. Nope. It is. Yeah. It is. Yeah. I mean, again, Shanna has a really strong opinion. It was like a week last year where Shanna was like, I don't know how I feel about Ryan and Monica's daughter. Like, it was weird. Maybe Jade was not doing it the right way. Was it over? I think it needs to be over.
It's got to be
over the roll, not under. That's I think
over. Over,
that's
so
what
it's
Shannon's
facing, so you can pull from the front.
So you can pull like this. And it's supposed
right.
to, right.
Yeah.
Which again, to make our my most controversial take, it also my sink is right in front of my. I just leave it right in front of my sink. I just grab it. Like it's it's just in front of me. So
yeah.
Which actually I've never noticed if Shanna changes the direction it faces when it sits in front of her. But yeah, no, really, it's not like the toilet paper doesn't do its job if you pull it the wrong way. So,
I was just going to say to wrap up the thought about, the internet, like you said, the internet, not people in general, the internet. I go to a gathering the next day and somebody said, hey man, sorry for dropping that meme on the comments. It's just something I found. I'm like, dude, I don't care. You know what I mean? But he felt the need to be like, hey, sorry, I comment. I'm like, I don't care. But again, the internet, it's amazing.
Yep. It's the internet. And, because again, if you had a birthday party, and you told that story, it's funny, in person, and that's the difference. In person, everyone joking around, and if your cousin or your somebody says, that's not the right way to do it, you're there, you're there, you're seeing their face, seeing, you put up in person, you talk about how much you like a pizzeria, and your friend goes, I had a bad experience with that. It just comes off differently. But when we make these posts and someone types it's like, hey, I just told you I enjoyed my pizza. Why are you telling me that you got a burnt piece there? But if they did it in person, it just would come off differently. So
I agree.
Listen, I love the internet because we're able to do, we're able to let Monica and Shanna listen to us when we talk, which will just be hysterical the next time when we actually do an in-person one again, hopefully soon this summer.
Yes.
And they'll just be upstairs not listening to us. It'll be fun.
Yeah, they'll be upstairs just talking.
Right. We're like, we need you. Right. That's probably our best chance. That's when we should do our Mandy Patinkin thing with them. Is if we can have that
for sure. 100%.
So.
We'll invite you, Renee, if you're watching.
Yeah,
just because you're our biggest fan.
Right. Listen, it's just too long to share, but if you have not seen Mandy Patinkin and his wife try to name Batman actress today, it is really funny. For us,
where can they find it, Richard?
You can find it on the Oppenheimer Project's Facebook page, which Ryan and I share all the time. So if you have not already liked Oppenheimer Projects, please do so now, and you'll be the first to get all of. I will tell you. Listen, it's all Ryan. And I think I've done one thing in the, in the few weeks it's been up. But yeah, when something pop culture hits, comics, movies, video games, Ryan is posting it pretty soon. It's almost like you don't sleep.
I sleep here and there. I got a couple minutes last night.
So bless you. All right, this was fun. We don't know. This is one of the rare times I'm not sure what we're talking about next week. I guess if you get through Mayor of Easttown, we can do that.
Yeah, that's going to be happening. And yeah, we will figure it out. And, Richard and I will let you know. And like we said, follow the Oppenheimer Project's YouTube page. We do pop culture, comic book, video games, things of that nature. If I find a little mental health post or video that I feel might be beneficial to people, I post that too. But in all seriousness, we try to keep the page fun and hip and active. So definitely check that out. And you can also view our live streams from there. It'll just pop up in your feed and you'll see it. But I think that'll do it for us then, right, Richard?
Yeah, absolutely. It was fun.
We will see everybody next Monday. Take care. We'll see you then.